Welcome to that spiritual, actual, factual answers to questions you're asking. You find them inside you, recite you, reciting the records of cash. We laughing, we drafting the passion through various. It's time for that comedy, dramedy, all of the fanciest, catchiest acronyms. Listeners, listen, we traveling. Conscious is always unraveling. The reading you're having is mapping you back to your natural habitat. Abracadabra, it's magicless, passing it. To top it off, the host, all the classiest. Now, what were you asking for? All of the answers? What? All the answers.
God, so you did your first psychic fair.
I did.
Welcome to the fold.
Welcome to the fold of psychic fairs. I did. I attended I will say, rather sparsely attended psychic fair.
That sucks. I'm sorry.
I think everyone was a little like, I'm not calling any shade at anybody. It was just the way it was coming out of COVID and stuff. There were far fewer vendors than usual and definitely far fewer attendees, like 50. But it was still fun to like meet some people and chat with some folks, meet some people in person. I met Rennie in person. I met the producer,
Yvonne
in person, and they're just lovely.
Aren't they?
Yeah. I was sitting right next to Rennie. We had lovely chats and she saw a number of clients and, because it's a fair, you're sitting right next to what's happening. So the readings are happening, right? I can't help but overhear some of the reading. Right. I'm not trying to chime in, but that was kind of cool just to kind of hear a little bit of the taste of the flavor of people.
That's awesome. How was all that? It
was cool. I think there was like 6 maybe readers or people doing sessions. There was one woman downstairs and then there were like 4 upstairs where I was. One guy sketched, his thing was to draw.
Oh, I know him.
He does a sketch and while doing the reading.
Yep, I know him. He's a great dude.
And then you get this, and then you get the personal portrait afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, CJ.
Yeah, he's CJ. He's the best.
A fellow CJ. I like to, I think there were 3 of us named CJ. I mean, technically speaking, I'm a CJ.
Right. I love this.
Yeah, there was a pet person who was doing pet readings and healings.
Yep.
That was really great to watch. She was right across.
There's usually a couple of those. Who was that one?
I'm terrible with names. I'm sorry. I don't remember.
It's fine. I'm terrible with them too.
If their name isn't Gern Blanston, I don't remember it.
That one stays though, huh?
Yeah. But overall, I mean, it was fine. I definitely had to work through like, expectations versus disappointments versus.
Totally.
That became a theme.
Yeah.
For me and Denise as well. Like there was some stuff that came up around her attendance at the thing. And yeah, there was a lot. It actually gave rise to a kind of a difficult weekend, but like most difficulties, they are there for us to bring stuff up and work through, challenging spaces in ourselves.
Well, are you open to sharing any pieces of what was up?
I think I can share some of it. Like I said, some of it's not necessarily fully my story, but I can share my part of it.
Yeah.
That was good. I mean, I think for Denise, there was something about not selling as much as they'd like, but it was like there wasn't anybody there. You can't sell, but that doesn't temper her own feelings of whatever.
Yeah.
That's as much of her story as I'll tell, but my part of that then is getting mixed up in the like, well, then now I need to make it better for her somehow. I need to somehow make it okay or provide entertainment that heals this sadness or come up with an activity to distract us. Like all that shit was coming up for me. Like we really had a whole like 24 hours of just like happy and then mean to each other a little bit and then bickering, but not exactly bickering, just being like, that's not what I wanted. And you're not hearing what I'm feeling. And it had its challenges, but the beautiful part was just that we could keep not running away.
That's huge.
There were a few times where it was like, maybe you should just go home. We should just call it a day and not be spending this day together. And I was like, no, like I'm not going to do that, even though I actually really want to because it feels easier. But no. And then like kind of stepping back in and just going, ugh, what is going on? Why are we hurting?
Yeah. Can I ask one question?
Yeah.
And obviously any of this that you're like, this is not my story to tell, I'm totally cool with.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get all tap dancey, I got to fix it. How does that land for her? Like, what's her beef with that? I would have beef with it probably, but sometimes depending on my mood, I wouldn't. So I'm curious for her, like, Like, what's the relational?
I mean, she's aware of it and it doesn't feel grounded. You know, it doesn't feel like it's one thing to actually do those things. And it's another to somehow feel compelled because it's coming from this
Desperate need.
Just where it's coming from is from an unhealthy place rather than just like, I'm an awesome dude and I'm here to be here for you, which I also am. And those things are also true.
Yes.
But when it's coming from this place of like, I need to fix this, that doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
So I'd say it lands false.
No, I would feel, I would feel the same way. I was just curious if that was what it was. So that's, yeah. Cool. Rock on for you guys going through stuff and being a couple and doing what couples do.
We always do.
You know, that thing that happens, here's what happened for me. I got so fucking sick, Cass. I don't even remember. It was like COVID level. I got really sick.
Yeah, but you tested a bunch of times and never.
No, I didn't have fucking COVID according to the tests I have anyways, you know? My point being, when I almost like, I didn't miss anything because I went away. I went to another dimension where like I was not a person.
Uh-huh.
I just died for 8 days and then was like, oh, I exist. And then I was back. So it's almost like that period of time just like got cut out of my, you know what I mean? It just got cut out. It was very weird. And you know, it's interesting because let's talk about this. I'm sort of on the fence about whether to talk about it. I'll put it this way. And then let's get into our questions. I'm very excited for the questions you gathered at the psychic fair that you went to that was a little disappointing.
But we still got 5 questions.
That's awesome. I'm stoked.
Of a variety of things.
Oh, I love it. I love the variety option. It's like we got a variety pack.
We do.
You know how I do the thing where I check in the Akashic Records or with my awareness, spidey senses, almost about everything. I check a lot of things. Because I had so much time in my life where every choice I made that was from like what I wanted to do led to like big problems. And I can trust my intuition now a lot more. But what I can't trust is, I still have an addict personality. And sometimes that addiction-y thing catches me like a wave. It's like, ooh. And you know how it shows up the most is my 8 Enneagram lust. So the 8, they you know how they say with each Enneagram type, there is the opposite of
a cardinal sin.
Yeah, the opposite of a value is like, I call them the PFAGLES: pride, fear, anger, greed, lust, envy, sloth.
Right.
I happen to believe that PFAGLES are like a real and useful thing to look at. I do not like the term cardinal sin. I think that's horrifyingly judgmental. But if we can...
Or 7 deadly sins, I guess they're called, plus 2 more, because there's 9.
Exactly. So if we can look at our PFAGLES without judging ourselves for them, it's like taking inventory at a shopping restaurant. At a shopping restaurant?
That's what we call it. I don't even know which it was. Is it a restaurant or is it shopping? And I'm going to be honest, clearly I wasn't 100% listening because I didn't get it until you repeated it. I was thinking about something else.
I know who I'm talking to. I know what I have to
Shopping restaurant. What do you actually mean?
In my brain, it was supermarket. What we got was a shopping restaurant. So when you go to the shopping restaurant, and let's say you own a shopping restaurant and you're taking inventory. Do we have toothpaste this week or do we need to buy more? You would go, oh, we don't have toothpaste. Let's buy more. But you don't judge yourself as a shopping restaurant for being a failure for not having toothpaste. You just go like, we ran out.
Right.
Right. So the way I was taught in the 12 steps to handle your PFAGLES is to understand you're just taking inventory.
Like a shopping restaurant.
Like a shopping restaurant would.
I'm with you.
So when I I teach this in my classes. It's actually been up this week in classes where I'm like, let's all own whatever, take a challenge in your life right now and look at the PFAGLES: pride, fear, anger, greed, lust, envy, sloth. Which one has you around the throat? Which one is driving the boat of you right now? Or which 12, which 5, which whatever. All of this is coming back to me. I'm trying to talk about the cold I got. I was talking in class I said, look, I'm going to be real with you. I am all about looking at the PFAGLES that drive me because I'll tell you, this cold I had, which knocked me, I had to cancel 4 or 5 classes, reschedule the podcast, all these consequences that were shitty and not fun for anybody involved, came out of lust, period. Lust, period.
Are you saying this was a sexually transmitted infection?
Yes.
Oh, it's because you made out with somebody and he was sick and you got sick.
Yes, but more than that. Let's get even deeper. Because there's nothing wrong with making out with somebody. There's nothing wrong with sex. And
Right. There's no judgment on the lust.
there's also, let's talk about this because this is some deep shit. There's nothing wrong with lust in general. It's when lust is outmoded, when lust is out of balance with what is correct for the individual in the moment. In other words, if I am taken over by a tidal wave of lust to such a degree that I don't hear myself anymore about what I know is spiritually correct for me, I'm just going, fuck spirit, I'm doing lust.
Fuck spirit, I'm going to fuck this guy.
Exactly. That's when consequences occur. Now, consequences are not God punishing you. This is how everybody who hates spirituality likes to frame it. This is why nobody likes religion and nobody likes spirituality who has a brain, because they're like, those judgy assholes. I would frame it like, and this is how I do frame it, it's not wrong and bad to fuck someone and not think about it. And sometimes fucking someone without thinking about it has consequences to me that had I checked in with my intuition, with my higher self, with God, whatever you like to call it, I probably would have made a different choice. I also looked at the PFAGLES and I went, what other PFAGLES were operational here? Fear. I didn't want to have an uncomfortable conversation with this person. It was easier to just say yes and do it. Not like in a rapey way, but just like in a, there was a lot to discuss and there's a history there. And I just didn't feel like it. I was like, I want to get laid. I'm getting laid. Never for 1 second did I go, is this in my highest good? What's this going to create? What comes of this? If I choose it, I just went in the car, driving, penis in the vagina, and we're done. And then that person got sick.
That quick, huh?
That night, after the deed was done,
Yeah.
They were getting sick as we were laying there together.
Oh, shit.
And the next morning, I was deathly ill.
Wow.
Or maybe it was 2 days later, actually.
Yeah.
Because it
makes
takes
sense.
a minute to incubate. So again, none of this is like Katie Rubin is bad. This is just looking at, had I asked what is spiritually correct, what's in alignment, my guidance probably would have been, get your dildo out, home slice.
Take care of that business.
Stick it in a few times. And then move along, because this situation is probably what would have happened. Actually, knowing how my system works, is it would have been like, no, don't go. And I would have fought it. And then I would have been like, all right, why? And then I would have asked 75 questions and finally gotten to, here's the energy it's going to create. And I may not even have known what that energy was.
Right.
But I would have, if I were in a different state, I would have listened and had better results.
Here's my metaphor. You're walking down the sidewalk and your head's in the clouds. So you're not checked in, you're not grounded.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of a crack in the sidewalk and you trip and you bang your knee. Now, there's nothing wrong with what you were doing. You didn't do anything wrong to bang your knee, but there was still a consequence for not being grounded and in your body.
That's it.
You still banged your knee, but no one's casting a moral judgment on you.
Right.
Or saying that God punished you for having your head in the clouds.
I banged my knee and he banged my puss.
Yep. Thank
and
you.
And together that banged my sinuses.
Yes, that did. You got your sinuses well banged.
Just boned them left and right.
Oof.
So anyway.
So you're better now?
Yeah,
though?
a lot better. I'm like,
you seem like it.
85% better. It's
Yeah.
good.
It's good. It's good. It's good.
So how did we get on that? Because I was going somewhere with it.
Psychic fair. No, I just said you've been sick and I missed you. And you said I was on another planet.
Thank you. I love you. Yeah. And it was that was the point. Thank you. It was just the cold was really fucking bad. And halfway through it, when my brain kind of returned to the building a little, I said to God, I was like, can we talk about this? What is going on? And we had a little sesh and I did brought a lot of light to my lungs and did what I do. And then it lightened and then I had a good cry. And the cry was grieving all the minutes in that dynamic with that person where I left myself.
Mm.
And this is always what happens for me. If I do something that's ungrounded, there's an abandonment of self happening inside of that choice. That for me, because I'm sensitive and have emotional definition and have Pisces moon, and for whatever reasons, I always end up having to grieve it after the fact. I'll give you an example. Let's say I binge eat I'll have 2 bowls of cereal at 10 p.m. because I'm like, fuck you, intuition. I want to eat Cheerios now. And I willfully do something without giving a shit about my body or myself or even asking. I just want it and I put it in because of my lust. Right? I have a lust for life, not just for boning. It's
Yeah. You have an intersectional lust.
Yeah, I'll fuck anything, bro. I'll fuck your couch.
With my mouth?
I'll fuck your couch cushions. I'll fuck your mom. Whoever.
I'll fuck a plate of pasta,
Pasta
with
in
my
my
teeth.
puss.
Oh,
Yeah.
see, I'm confused.
Straight out of low cash, a crazy motherfucker named Gusto. I'll fuck your wife cause the bitch is a big hoe. I'll fuck your sister, I'll fuck your cat. I will fuck your mom, but the bitch is too fat.
Anyway, my point being that lust doesn't have to just be about sex. It can be like the lust for espresso and the lust for living and the lust for creating and the lust for money, all of it. Anyway, I lost my train of thought.
Lust isn't bad, but yeah, I lost it too.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it was just like, had I checked, the cereal, right? So this is what I was getting at, is the crying. So here's how it goes for me. If I check out and I just act on lust without checking in with my body, with God, with consciousness, the cereal feels good as I'm eating it. Then I get real tired and go to sleep, and it like knocks me out in a really gross way. Then in the morning I wake up and I usually have a cry. And the cry is from how I separated from myself during that 10 minutes it took me to eat the thing. And all those hours I spent unconsciously recovering from eating a thing that caused me to separate from myself. So it's like a reenactment of trauma. Anytime we're harming ourselves or dissociating, we're reenacting some kind of trauma from the past. At least I am.
Yeah.
I can say that with a surety. So the crying I'm always weirdly grateful for, because it's like we're not talking about a sob for all day. We're talking about a 2-minute like, okay, better. Because it's a return to connection to the emotional body. The tears are actually me returning to myself. So there's like a relief in it. So all of that is a long-winded way of saying, this is how we can use the PFAGLES to stay connected to ourselves and not suffer the consequences of disconnect from the self. It's not God punishing us. It's me punishing me.
Right. You have your own, you have pretty direct feedback to what it was.
Well, what I'm saying, yeah, but I'm saying the dissociative behavior that I choose to do because I'm in rebellion to God, it only hurts me.
Right. God doesn't need to have anything to do with it.
No. And our emotional needs and our body feeling good, those are the same as this word God.
Just for clarification, let's talk about other things besides lust of the PFAGLES. I'm trying to remember what the 3 is. Do you remember what the 3 is? Oh, here we go. Deceit.
Okay, that makes sense.
Right. Oh, well, and there you go. Like, right. So if it's fine to operate within to use your PFAGLE to operate within. You can give in to your lust or whatever, or you can engage with your lust, but you don't want to do it in a disconnected or ungrounded way. Is that what I'm hearing?
I think the way I would, something like that. Like, here's how a better example. It's sort of like if you're with a partner you feel comfortable with who's emotionally available to you, and you have a healthy dynamic between you, or 3 partners, whatever the fucking thing is, but it's healthy and connected.
Uh-huh.
And then you love each other and there's safety there and you want to sleep with them. And you know that after you sleep with them and act all the lust you want out, you're going to still feel good and connected to yourself. Then bone down. But if acting on your lust is with someone who's not quite right for you and not quite available, and afterwards you're going to feel sad and lonely because in so doing, you didn't get your emotional needs met, but you did get your bone off, maybe don't, because you get to feel sad after.
Right.
Not because it's wrong. It's because I feel, for me, this is for me, I need to feel emotionally connected and valued after the sex act. And certain things people do don't make me feel that way. And certain people aren't capable of doing those things. They're not bad people. They're just not.
Just not the right matchup.
Yeah.
Now that all makes great sense. And I get it in the context of lust. And I'm just wondering if we can extrapolate this out to like the other PFAGLES. Like
absolutely.
An example of deceit.
Pride.
Pride's a pretty good one. Pride's easy.
Well, so we'd have to look at which of the PFAGLES is under deceit. Is it pride? Is it fear? Is it envy, anger, greed, lust, envy, or sloth?
It's none of them. It's one of the extras. I'm talking about the Enneagram specifically, which doesn't necessarily fit. It's true because it's an additional one.
No, I've already looked at this. Like, I actually know the answer to the question. Like, if you think about it for yourself, let's just pick one of those 7.
Deceit is connected to fear.
Okay, so what makes you be deceitful is you're afraid to tell the truth because
it might not make other people happy or whatever. Yeah.
Okay, great. So we could even say there's probably a little pride in there.
Yeah.
Like, I'll look bad if I tell the truth.
Right.
So to look good, I'll be deceitful just to keep my image good.
Right.
Fear. They might not like me if I tell the truth, or they might be angry. I don't see any anger in it. Maybe greed, but it depends on the situation. Maybe lust, but it depends on the situation. Envy, not really. Sloth, not really. So to me, it looks like pride and fear.
Yep. And those both fit the 3 thing. So within that, is there a way to frame like how to operate with deceit in a balanced and grounded way?
Well, what I would say is there's a way to operate with pride and fear in a balanced way that makes you not have to be deceitful.
There we go. So it's a little bit of an outlier in terms of because it's made up of other things, it doesn't quite fit the same exact model.
It fits the model. You just have to go deeper under it.
Yeah.
So since pride and fear are under it, so here's the example I like to give about pride. Like, if I had no pride at all, I would just be like, if I didn't feel like picking an outfit in the morning, if I didn't care how I looked, no pride.
Right.
I just wear like a disgusting snot-covered sleep t-shirt covered in dirt and dog piss and snot and no pants and like, mismatched.
Just be walking with your PFAGLE out, just your PFAGLE flapping in the wind.
Just flapping all around.
That's what I think PFAGLE sounds like.
I believe you. I agree. I hear you. So if I had no pride, I would just wear whatever and go to the store and then go to my job, and then people would not respect it and that would not work. And I would probably get fired from my job because that's not professional and it doesn't work in reality. So we need a certain amount of pride to put ourselves together. This is just a small example, enough to fit into the social constructs we live in.
And to get anything done and to have any value of your moving yourself forward in the world in any way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so fear. You got to have some fear. If you stand in the middle of the street and a bus is coming and you're like, fear is an illusion. Fear, I'm just going to stand here and the bus is just going to pass through my body. You're going to be dead. If you have no fear, you're never going to motivate to like go to another audition again. If you had no fear, none, you'd probably just sit down forever and do nothing. Because really, fear is under a lot of it. I'm afraid I'll be broke, so I work. I'm afraid I'll have no retirement, so I save. I'm afraid my dog will get sick, so I take her to the vet.
And then I could take that. I can now jump to deceit with that. And there is actually space for, always be 100% honest, sure, but
right.
Deceit
not really.
In the sense of it's okay to like shape the story a little bit and like, oh, let me shoot myself from above so that I don't look quite as large in the chin when I'm doing an audition.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's deceitful, technically speaking.
Yes.
But it's not actually deceitful. It's just, yeah.
Well, it is.
It
but
is.
Like, we don't have to, it's not a kind that harms anyone.
Right. There's no judgment in it because there's no harm in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. We got there.
I like
that.
that.
Totes. It's like the way we talk about it is like everything when it's functioning toward your life working better. If it creates more harmony, use it. If it creates more separation, don't.
Yep.
But only because you'll suffer, not because God is mad.
Right.
This is where when people are like, I don't want to talk about pride, fear, anger, greed, lust, envy, sloth, because that's a religious idea. I'm like, well, take a second and hear me out, because you suffer when you function from PFAGLES, not God. That doesn't give a fuck. The ideas came through because God likes us a lot.
Right.
God's like, here's a hint to life. If you act from these things, it's going to suck for you. That's how reality is. If you don't, it'll be good for you. I love you. Have a good day. Make your choices.
Right. I'm not going to be in judgment of you. I might be like, I wish you'd made different choices because I want you to be happier, but oh well.
I don't even think it takes that point of view. I think it just goes, oh, you're suffering. I love you. What do you need now?
Yeah.
It doesn't judge. It's not a judger. That's why when people are mad at religion, I'm like, my first reaction is irritation, because I'm like, you don't actually know what you're mad at. You think you're mad at religion. You're actually mad at what some people did with the religion to twist it and manipulate it for power.
Yeah.
You're not mad at actual God.
Right.
Actual God is not the thing you think it is, because your religion taught you incorrectly, because people are fucked.
That is the truth. People, that's the theme of every episode. People are fucked. That's not true.
That's what
we mostly like people, but they're also fucked.
That's what we're trying to teach here, everybody. People are fucked.
And there's
all
no
right.
hope.
We should get into the questions, because
we should get those. Oh shit! Yeah, we got stuff to do. I think we can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Rami here. I am in San Diego, California, and I started rehearsals yesterday for what I think is going to be an incredible production of As You Like It by Shakespeare. This is an all queer and trans production, and yesterday was a really exciting day. Not only is the whole cast and much of the artistic design team queer and trans, but also are just so many of the people behind the scenes, including the wardrobe supervisor who is non-binary. And that's huge. I'm just going to leave it there and not explain it anymore. But for those of you listening who are in theater, you can maybe imagine what a big deal that is, and necessary, and a relief. Anyway, so yesterday was great day. And what else do I want to say about that? Oh yeah. So because it was not a heteronormative space, it was an all queer and trans space. But when you have a large room full of queer and trans people, you have every individual has a different expression of what it means to be queer and or trans. And so you don't have, it's a space without norms. It's a space with a bunch of individual experiences that are different from each other. And so when you have a space without norms, it inspires curiosity. It has to, right? It inspires listening, wonder, being interested. I guess I'm saying the same thing in a bunch of different ways. It's it's just really great. Rami's rules.
All right, so here's what happened. I recorded a bunch of questions from people, some random people, some people I knew a little bit, some people I knew more. It's a good selection of randos, some who are already listeners of the podcast were like, yeah, I want to get on the podcast. A couple of people who just learned about the podcast and just threw a question into the mix. So I'm going to play the question. I do a little bit of back and forth just to try and get a little more information.
Okay. I'm going to be taking their names down so I could get in the records.
Great. And only one of them do we need to beep out the name, just so you know.
Okay.
Desmond, we only need to beep out, I'll tell you which one when it happens. Okay.
Okay.
So are you ready for the first? How do you want to do it? Do you want to do a question, open their records, do the answer, or do you want to listen to all the questions and open all the records?
What I'd like to do is get the name of the first person. Maybe what I should do is get all of the names, open all the records at the same time, and then when we go question by question, I'll hone in on that person's records.
Okay.
So can you give me all 5 names and I'll write them down?
I only have written down here their first and last names, not their middles, but their middle gets spoken in the middle of it.
Oh, I only need first and last. It's fine.
Okay. All right. So we have Diane Dobson.
Oh, I know who that is.
Long-time listener, first-time caller, Diane Dobson.
That's right. Diane Dobson. Got it.
You may recognize the name Kelly McNeese.
Oh, yay.
Yes.
Okay.
The third one is Frida Maletsky.
Okay.
Fourth one is a new person to us. Hadn't listened to it before. And then the last one, and it's a doozy, is Michael Petaruti.
I spelled it phonetically, so that's fun. All right, let me get in these records and then we'll go question by question. Okay. All right. So I'm going to talk myself through this out loud. Okay. So So I'm just breathing into my low belly. I'm letting my foot chakras open a bit. I'm feeling my connection to the earth. I'm receiving some energy up from the earth into my feet. I'm seeing my roots extend through the open feet down into the earth hundreds of miles. I'm seeing my grounding cord shoot to the center of the earth and anchor there. And as that grounding cord hits the center of the earth, I'm feeling this river of light flow up, grounding cord into my root and flood forward into my hip sockets, down through my quads, glutes, and hamstrings, knees, calves, shins, ankles, and feet. I'm feeling that river of light flood down into the roots I extended moments ago through my feet. And so we do acknowledge the forces of light, asking for guidance, direction, and courage to know the truth, as it is revealed for our highest good and the highest good of everyone connected to us. Holy Spirit of God, protect me, please, from all forms of self-centeredness and direct my attention to the work at hand. Help me to know Diane Dobson, Kelly McNeese, Frida Maletsky, Michael Petaruti, in the light of the Akashic Records. Help me to see Diane Dobson, Kelly McNeese, Frida Maletsky, Michael Petaruti through the eyes of the Lords of the Records, and enable me to share the wisdom, please, and the compassion that the masters, teachers, and loved ones of Diane Dobson, Kelly McNeese, Frida Maletsky, and Michael Petaruti have for Diane Dobson, Kelly McNeese, Frida Maletsky, and Michael Petaruti. And I'm just going to go quiet for just a moment here. All right, so I'm asking to be deepened into the Akashic records of this group of 5 people. I'd like to be connected to the individual records of these individual people, please, and to the collective of the 5 of them, so that in a moment when we hear their questions, I can separate out into each one individually. I ask that you clear, release, uncreate, destroy anything and everything in my field or theirs that would stand in the way of clarity, guidance, and direction coming straight from Source during these readings. Okay, all right. I'm going to keep my eyes closed for a little bit, but feel free.
Yeah, hi, I'm Diane Marie Dobson, and my question is, am I meant to stay living in Oakland, California for a long time? I've been here a long time, and I'm just curious if I'm meant to go anywhere else, or if this is where I'm meant to be.
And do you want to know specifically like where you should go, or whether if that is the question answer?
Yeah, I'd love to hear if there's anything that we get from that, and if there's somewhere else that's I'm better suited, or I'm being pulled, or should be knowing I'm being pulled to. I'd love to just hear more about that.
Great. Thank you, Diane.
I wish she were here, because I would ask, what makes you ask the question? It's usually when people are asking that question, it's because they have an inkling of they want to, that something is changing or they're being pulled in some direction or whatever. But sometimes we can just with our minds go like, I'm comfortable. That should be a problem, you know? So I don't know where she's coming from with the question, but immediately when I tune in, I get, so is it in Diane Dobson's highest good to be still living in Oakland? No. It was like a powerful, immediate no. Is there somewhere else that would be more beneficial for her, that would create, yes, more auspicious outcomes? Yes. Let me just breathe into this. Is it nearby? No. Is it with family? No. Is it going to come to her? No. Does she need to research, dig in, and look into it? Yes. Okay. Is it somewhere outside the state? No. Okay. Is it Berkeley or San Francisco? No. North? No. South? Yes. Is it southeast, southwest? Southwest, but mostly south. Okay. All the way down to LA? No. Somewhere between Oakland and LA? Yes. That far south? No. Okay, like, are we talking about like Bay Area, but just south? Yes. Okay, further south than the Bay Area? No. Past Palo Alto? No. Are we talking about, what's that area, Cass?
The peninsula, or like...
Peninsula? Good, no. It's the other side, across the water. San Anselmo? Is that down there?
No, that's up north. That's
What's
Marin.
the San one that's down south of Oakland on that side of the water? San Leandro?
San Leandro. Oh, so not far at all.
Is that what that is? Cassidy?
That is San Leandro. It's just directly south of Oakland.
Yeah, that reads really well. Let me see.
Interesting.
But let me just keep looking here. Something other than San Leandro? No. Why? Okay, I guess it's something to do with price of housing prices, and opportunities there, and better options there, and friends and family come together more. And Oakland is becoming problematic for you in ways that you intuitively know. You're feeling the overcrowding and the pressure. There's some kind of pressure. There's a pressure to be a certain way. There's a pressure to have to do more of a certain thing. Whereas if you go further south, there's less pressure. There's also something about the frequency of the consciousness of the people in that area that's a little more down to earth, I want to say. Grounded, speaking of grounding. Family oriented, chill, relaxed, still granola and creative, but not so like caught in the rat race. You know, Oakland used to be where people went to get away from that, but there's a lot of it around where you are. There's a rat raciness that you're feeling a bit oppressed by, and a density that is not what you're preferring. So check it out. That's all I got.
I think that was a lot. That's great. Ready for the next one?
Yeah.
On a similar theme.
Okay.
Yes, hello. My full name is Kelly Trotter McNeese, and my question is whether or not my husband, my son, and I are in the right city for the time period that we'd like to stay and raise our son.
And you'd already said to me earlier, you aren't necessarily looking to move out of the area, but whether you should move within the same area to a new location or anything like that?
That's right. I would love to stay close to my parents who are aging, but I'm not sure if this is the right city for us.
Okay. This one, on the other hand, I was like the whole time making sure I was with the right Kelly. This is like a big, bright, shiny yes. Yes, you're in the right city. Yes, you're in the right house. Is it in your highest good to move at all? No. In fact, it's like, let me get how they would say it. There's no need to create any more upheaval in your reality right now. You have everything you need. You have your community. It's actually a really good connected location for you, astrologically. Also, communally, like who you know, the connections you have. This is interesting. You could consider, and it would be cool and good and fun for you to consider, a second home outside of the fray. It's almost like you guys come alive in the fray. You need the fray. The fray is good. Now, you could also use your nervous systems. Each of you could use a cabin up north, like Tahoe vibes, or even like Arnold, just like up north, get away. Like if you could find a way to squirrel some money away and buy something. I think also the buying is about the future. It's about having more property as an investment, and also for your kids, I think it's going to become relevant. They're going to need a place to go, get away from time to time. It's good for the family. It's good for the investment. If you can figure out a way to make that happen, or if you already have that, that's like such a big, bright, shiny energy. It's all good. It's only good. It's very bright. I almost don't want to stop talking about it just because it feels so good to be here, but we'll move on.
Amazing.
That was fun.
This is fucking fun. All right, total change of pace. This one is more of a general question, not necessarily personal.
Okay.
It's a how does the world operate type of question.
My name is Frida Betty Moletsky, And my question is, when those of us on a healing journey practice soul retrieval and reintegrate parts of ourselves that broke off, where were those parts? Where are we retrieving them from?
That is a great question. I feel like it's something we have talked about on the podcast before, and I would love to revisit that because it is such a complicated question. Is there any guidance you want, or just generally that question?
It's just a general question. Yeah, I'm just curious because I have brought parts back to me, and I'm just curious, where had they been?
What were they doing? And how are they now? And do they resent being returned?
Okay, cool. Okay, so let's just do this very specifically for Frida. So with her soul retrieval, where were the parts that left? Okay, I think I'm gonna learn things as we go here. So I'll let it trickle in. So first of all, you can think of these parts that left as always having a kind of laser-like thin thread of connection to you. They're still connected to you. They know where they actually belong. They're aware of your body in time, space here, where the rest of your consciousness is, but they're dissociated away from the embodiment. So they can be in any number of realms beyond this body. So parts that dissociate can go into a kind of other dimensional space that is full of torment and torture and darkness. Hate to bring the party down, everybody, but they can. They could go into a tormented, fragmented world where they're just suffering the entire time because they're outside of you. Does that affect you here in 3D reality? Absolutely. They can also hover just right above your head. They can also go to the 6th layer of the auric field, for example. They can also go down into the earth. They can also go to a kind of heavenly space between realms of consciousness. They can go backward in time. They can go forward in time. They could kind of head any number of places, which is part of why it's so important to bring them back so that the soul is functioning as one unified energy toward its one unified set of agreed upon goals in this lifetime. 2, so that you get to experience wholeness and completion and fulfillment and happiness and contentment. And 3, so that you're not being influenced by the energies of these other realms, should they happen to be fragmented or dark spaces. Now, you could ask the question, if parts of me go to a heavenly state or the earth or somewhere lovely, is that negative for me? No, it just means that in your 3-dimensional experience of life, you're not quite integrated, you're not quite whole yet, because that part isn't with you. So you'll find that you have trouble with certain things in your life. Certain decisions are hard to make. Certain kinds of grounding are hard. Certain relational dynamics suffer. It all depends on the part that has gone away to determine which parts of your life are going to suffer or struggle as a result. Okay, so in Frida's case, so that's a little big picture, but in Frida's case, where have her parts been? Okay, so they luckily, looks like any part of yours that dissociated away went to a protectively lovely space. You're lucky.
Wow.
I'm happy for you. I only say that, I don't mean to be dramatic, but I say it because I certainly had parts living in some fucking dark places. This is part of how I was shown all of this, is I've worked with clients who we had to pull parts of them back through. Imagine this, okay? I saw this once in a session. There were some parts of this person's soul that had sort of stepped into a kind of, imagine a reality or a realm where the like our reality is made up of like space and air. Okay, it's light. What's around us, right? The fabric of what's around your body. Imagine if the fabric of what's around your body or your experience of existing is shards of broken mirrors. Like the air, imagine it's all just huge, edgy, broken, shattered mirror shards. Okay, this person's soul not only was trapped in that realm, but it's almost like if you imagine your soul being let's say, a fragmented part of soul, being like a line of energy. So the line shot through some kind of opening into this realm, but then the realm kind of closes a window on a part of the line. So it's like half of your part of your soul's line is like, I'm in fragment mirror land. And another part is sticking out the window here. And then there's the part of it that's being squished by the part that separates the two. It's awful. When we brought that part back, first of all, it took a lot of work because I had to do a lot of like softening of the spot where the separation was to like sort of like ease the part back out. Like we had to like create an opening. It was really intense. Anyway, when that part came back, that person's life completely changed. They were attracting toxic people. They were doing drugs they didn't want to do. They were having all these problems that their higher self was like, I don't even want to do this shit anymore. I used to want to. Now I'm like over it and I can't fucking stop. And it was because this part was in this place, and the place and the energy of the place were contributing to the suffering of this person in a really big way. Anyway, none of your parts or soul fragments went to anywhere dark. So hallelujah.
I have a question about that. You were talking about they were in a protected place. Is that, I feel like, does the fragmenting happen generally, I'm going to assume, because of some sort of trauma? So like one response would be to go to a scary place and another response would be to go get protection.
Correct.
To leave you to go to a safer space.
That's right. And so imagine how injured the part of self has to be, and how scared and how fucked and how twisted by trauma, always by trauma, it has to be to choose a dark place that's made of mirror shards.
Yeah.
Imagine how much suffering it has to be experiencing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. That was very useful. All right, here we go. This is the one that you're going to want to beep the name out on, and we'll have to beep it in the prayer a bunch of times too, but that's okay.
Hi, this is, and I wanted to know if I am going to get a proposal this year.
All right. Anything else you want to know about that? Any deeper inquiry into that?
And if he is the right choice.
Okay. That's a great question. So are you going to get a proposal, and if it's the right person for you? Great question.
Okay. I was getting nervous with this question because
I know. I was like, do we want to even do it? Like, what if the answer is no and no?
Jesus Christ. Fucking hell. I'm in nightmares. Like, do you know how bad it makes me feel to deliver that? Let me get little sidetrack, little story for you. I had some women show up in my practice recently. 3 daughters, adult daughters, of a mom in hospice. Sobbing. All 3 wanted to be on the Zoom. So they're all sobbing. We love our mom so much. They go on this big thing about what a saint she's been in life and how she's brought. So we believe she could pull through. She could pull through, right?
No.
Nope. So I had to, that wasn't my favorite.
No.
I'm glad I don't misunderstand. I'm very glad they were there, and we did a great job, and we had a good talk, and we did some crying, and it was deep. But like, it is hard to like, you know what I mean? To be like a dream dasher for people.
Yeah.
But it's also like, I'd rather you know the truth than not. Okay, so I'm going to do it. All right. Is likely to... Thank God! Yes. Jesus, fuck me. Yes, she's likely to get very, very likely to get a proposal. It's very light. Okay, let me sit with this a little more. Oh, it's just so bouncy and light, isn't it? My God, I don't even know what it would be like to have a life where you have this much bounciness in you. Jesus, I'm envious. That's like, everybody's like this. Bouncy and light, and then we get married and it's even better. Oh my God, that's nice. That's like, yep. And then wasn't there a second part?
Is this the right guy?
Oh, yes, all the yes.
Oh my God, that's easy.
Jesus. Let me see if there's any other info, though. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say my impression of this story, and this was my impression, it could be right or wrong, was, she was at this fair to do all the booths and stuff because she was into it, and that she had this guy with her and maybe even his family, and they were just there because she wanted to be there. And that can be great. Like if you've got a guy who's not into it, but is totally willing to be like, sure, I'll go to the psychic fair with you. That's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like this. He's one of those guys who, he's very light too, in a way. They have a lightness together that is creating more light in the world. So whether you call that spiritual or not, that's why this is such a good connection, because it creates more of what is good in the world. And he has things you don't have, and you have things he doesn't have, and that's why it's good. Now, this is a great time for us to remind people, marriage, is not the fucking white horse story all the time that people want to believe it is. Marriage is about like, now you're dealing with that.
Yeah.
Now you have that to deal with. Now dealing with brings great stuff. Companionship and sex and love and fun and laughing and arguments and fights and challenges and difficulties and disagreements and personal growth and peace and joy and sorrow. So, that. But I will say, energetically and spiritually, when I sit with the union of these two people, it's very light, which tells me that they're going to struggle not as much as some other couples will. This is a nice union. They're going to have a lot of harmony. They're going to grow together and not resist each other all that much. Yeah, it's really good. I'm happy for you. Congratulations.
That's pretty cool. I love that. Thank God.
Jesus.
This next one is kind of wackadoo and a little intense, and it takes a little more story. He ends up going back into the details of it, and it's a little...
All right.
It's a lot, but it's fun. Fun is the wrong... I should say fun about this story you're about to hear, but he'd be fine with it, I think, hearing it that way. Here it goes.
Okay.
Whew. Okay, we have a really awesome question from Michael. Michael, I'm going to ask you to give your full legal name here, just because then Katie can use it on the question.
Michael Albert Pederuti.
Great. All right, and I'm going to give the context because there's so much to it. You told me this question. You said your ex, about 12 years ago, put a hit out on you, hired someone to kill you, and that never happened because you're standing in front of me. He refused, but he brags about it in public. You've recorded him. And then recently, you were attacked twice, and it was definitely connected to him.
He directed this guy. We were playing pool to go over to get money that I did not steal. So he sent the guy over, and as the guy comes around my back to choke me, Steve, the guy who was initially hired, just kind of pushes past the guy choking me and walks and goes and continues to play pool. Okay. All on video.
All on video. So this is all on video. But what you want to know, I'll let you ask the question now. What is it that you want to know about this situation?
Yes. So just to clarify then, Steve, the following week, I confronted him about it, been to the police, created 2 police reports. But he got pissed off and basically hit me, knocked me out to the ground, fell on my face. So my question is what do I need to do to clear this karma? This really has to do with my ex-wife and my daughter. And how do I move past this and not have to worry and look over my shoulder?
Okay. All right, question. Steven is the guy who choked him?
Okay, Steve is the guy...
who hired the choking.
No. So his ex-wife hired Steve a long time ago, paid Steve to kill Michael.
Okay.
Okay. Ex-wife hires Steve to kill Michael. Steve doesn't do it, but he brags about it all the time, publicly. Like, yeah, I got hired. She put a hit out on him and I took the hit. I'm gonna, And so it's always out there. Michael he also told me that he has recordings of Steve saying this.
Saying what? I'm gonna kill you?
Or I was hired to kill you. And
okay.
And he brags about it in public. And that was a long time ago. And the police never really did anything because nothing ever really happened. But then just recently, and I did see Michael had a big old bloody eye when I'm talking to him. He is recovering from a punch. So like a little while ago, Steve like sent some meth head to choke him out with a pool stick at a bar.
Fucking hell.
And then kind of pushed past him like, ha ha ha, I did that. That's what Michael told me.
Okay.
And then recently he confronted him and Steve punched him.
Okay, cool. Let me look at this. Michael Petaruti. He wants to know
how to clear this.
Yeah, I'm sitting with it. How to clear this karma. Is the karma with the ex-wife? No. Is the karma with Steve? No. Is there karma here? No. Is there a past life trauma involved? No. This is new karma. Okay. What that means, new karma just means it's gotten created now in this lifetime. So how does he process this so this doesn't have to be something he's constantly looking over his shoulder about? Does he process it with the ex? No. Does he process it on his own? Yes. Does she need to process it in order for him to be free of this looking over the no? Does Steve need to process? No. Okay. Good. That's good news. So what that means is it's up to Michael to do his work around this issue. So the work lives, if you need a little help, Michael, in the second chakra, the space between the second and the third chakra, such that, in other words, and it's not in the first, which is interesting. Your sense of self as a man, your sense of self as a sexual being, a creative being, is injured right now, in large part because of a lot of what's been going on here. So this is about reconciling within yourself through processing, through grief work, the pain of how painful all of this has been. Specifically, whatever went on in the relationship with your ex it's like the lesson here for you is to get all the way down, Michael, to the vulnerablest vulnerability that's here for you. How sad and small and afraid do you feel? And will you sit with that with somebody who can help you? A healer, book a session with me, I'm happy to help you. A therapist, a somatic energy worker, whoever you trust. Sit with them, drop into the vulnerability of the sadness of the loss of the relationship. And also I get like the twist in the relationship. Like it looked like one thing and then it turned out not to be at all. And the betrayal of that, and then the betrayal of this ongoing torment. Once you grieve it and process it and also cut the cords energetically between you and everybody involved, it's going to stop happening. But there is energy alive and well in that second and a half and third chakra areas that keep this happening because it's unresolved in you. And now remember, none of that means it's your fault. None of that means it should be happening or it's okay. It's all fucked up and should not be happening. And these people should not be behaving this way, but they do things. So all we could do, right, sometimes is look at, well, what do I have actual control over? In this case, it's do your work, as we say on this podcast, around all the grief from the vulnerability space, even though that's not fair. And you're right, it isn't fair. And here we are. I've had to do a ton of grief work around my mother, where she spent my whole life abusing me. But now I got to do grief work? Fuck you. That's not fair.
Oh, yeah.
But I sure did it.
Yeah.
And continue to do it when it comes up because I benefit when I do so. Okay, I'm going to close the records. I want to thank the masters, teachers, and loved ones for their love and compassion. Thank the lords of the records for the love and compassion. I want to thank the record keepers for love and lords of the masters for their point of view and the Holy Spirit of light for all knowledge and healing. As you return, everybody here's energy to themselves now, please. Diane Dobson, Kelly McNeese, Frida Maletsky, Michael Petaruti's energy to themselves as they return them to their complete human wholeness. The divine portal and the Akashic records of these 5 people are now closed. Amen. The divine portal and the Akashic records of these 5 people are now closed. Amen. The divine portal and the Akashic records of Diane Dobson, Kelly McNeese, Frida Maletsky, and Michael Petaruti are now closed. Amen, amen, amen. Shadu an la ilaha illallah, shadu anna Muhammad abduhu wa rasulullah. That was a blast.
Wow. I love those Gonzo episodes. Those are fun. That was some cool shit.
That was a blast. Let's do more.
I'm so glad you got to answer Michael's question. That was a doozy.
All right.
He was a hoot.
I bet.
I kind of want to talk to him more.
Awesome.
Awesome. Love you, Katie.
I love you too.
Get in your car and drive and do your work.
Okay. Do your work, everybody. We love you. Bye.
What are you asking for? All of the answers? Say what? All of the answers? Yeah, all the answers.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. We'd love to hear from you. Please email us with your questions so that we have questions to answer in the Akashic Records. Our email address is allanswerspod@gmail.com. That's allanswerspod@gmail.com. And if you'd like to find us on Facebook or Twitter, it's @allanswerspod, @allanswerspod. Thank you.
And on that topic, since we're in an edit point that's going to get cut out, I'll tell you now.
Mixed and edited by Desmond McNeese for We Mixed It, LLC. Go to whatsoundsawesome.com.
Cool. So editing back in, here we are.